Welcome back, everybody. Today I want to spend some time doing the inevitable comparison of the Motiv Jackal Legacy and the Forged Flare. Both have the same coercion MXC solid reactive cover. The Jackal line continues with that Predator V2 core. The Forge line continues with the Detonator core. I think both of the cores work quite well. The Forged Flare really felt very strong when we tested it. And my perspective is that I think it's the strongest ball Motiv has ever released that still had strong backhand. And after testing the Jackal Legacy, I can say that I still feel that the Forged Flare is a touch stronger. If anything, the Flare even feels a bit sharper and more asymmetric-like than the smoother Jackal Legacy. The Forged Flare tumbles with a little more forward roll off the end of the pattern. I would argue the cover is partly responsible, but alas, the cover and finish are supposedly identical. With the Jackal Legacy, I felt like I had more room to play with it. In other words, as I start left and keep moving right, I didn't have to move as far right as the Forged Flare to get the Legacy to the pocket. But I could just get about as deep as the Flare and still carry. So to me, the Legacy is strong, but more importantly, more versatile than the Forged Flare from what I saw. The shapes are different, but honestly, I'm a little confounded that the symmetric Flare behaves a bit more asymmetric than the smoother Legacy. And theoretically, you can put both of these balls in the strong defined category, but if you had both right now, I might slot the Flare as the strong defined and the Legacy as a strong control, and that on paper might confuse some. The Predator core is not the most asymmetric shaping core out there, so that may explain some of the reason why the drilled asymmetry of both balls could be comparable, but the shape of the detonator causes a bit more forward roll. It's not more obvious than when I throw them two-handed. The Flare was very difficult for me to get to the pocket simply because of how strong it was and how aggressive the transition felt. So I had to force the issue by trying to roll it very forward with less axis rotation, and that made it look even more forward. However, with the Jackal Legacy, I could throw it pretty much, quote unquote normally and get it to the pocket. I could easily see the Legacy as my strong defined ball for both one hand and two-handed, whereas the Forged Flare is probably not one I would keep in my two-handed bag. It just felt too strong, at least, as a brand new ball, right? Maybe you can adjust the surfaces and so on to get it to be, something else you want it to be. At the end of the day, I guess if I had to absolutely pick one, I would go with the Jackal Legacy simply because it is a bit more versatile in my mind. And just to temper that, I mean, I don't want to come off like, which ball is better type of thing. There's always a situation where one ball works better than the other. But anyway, all right. I mean, that's what we have comparing the Jackal Legacy and the Forged Flare. Hopefully this gives you a better idea of how they actually, look side by side in case you wanted one or the other or both. Thanks for watching.